Despite the passage of time, the story of the Dyatlov Pass remains shrouded in mystery. For years, the investigation into the incident moved at a glacial pace, as Soviet authorities were hesitant to reveal too much. Initial reports were sparse, offering little more than vague descriptions of the hikers' injuries and the puzzling conditions of the site. It wasn't until the 1990s, when classified files were finally made public, that the world caught its first real glimpse into the sheer strangeness of the case. Questions mounted. Why had the tent been cut from the inside? Why were they found so far from the camp in various stages of undress, a fatal decision in the freezing cold? And then there was the issue of radiation. Some of the hikers' clothing showed traces of radioactivity, raising even more speculation. Could they have stumbled onto a secret government experiment? Something military? Something nuclear? The more we learned, the less it made sense. Local legend only added to the mystery. The native Mansi people, who had lived in the area for centuries, were known to regard Kholatsyakhl as a cursed mountain. Though no official records link the Mansi directly to the hikers' deaths, the ominous name alone, Dead Mountain, seemed to foreshadow the tragedy. Some even suggested that the hikers had angered a spiritual force, unleashing a wrath they were powerless to stop. These kinds of supernatural explanations, though hard to believe, only deepened the eerie feeling surrounding the case. The weather, too, played its part in fueling confusion. The brutal shifting storms in the Ural Mountains were notorious for their sudden fury, yet the nature of the hikers' injuries didn't fully align with any known natural disaster. Yes, avalanches were common in such regions, but the evidence at the scene didn't fit a typical avalanche profile. No large slabs of snow were found at the campsite, and the tent was still partially standing. What could have caused such catastrophic injuries yet left so little trace? In fact, the injuries themselves remain one of the most baffling aspects of the Dyatlov Pass incident. Some hikers had fractures typically seen in car accidents or severe falls, injuries far too violent to be caused by mere exposure or a simple fall on the slopes. But inexplicably, there were no external wounds. These were deep, internal traumas, as if they'd been hit by an invisible force. One theory suggests a katabatic wind, an extremely powerful and cold air current, might have swept down the mountain, forcing the group into chaos. But could wind alone explain broken bones and missing tongues? Other theories venture even further into the unknown. Some believe the group encountered a rare and terrifying weather phenomenon known as infrasound, a low-frequency sound wave capable of inducing panic and hallucinations. According to this theory, the group might have been overcome by a sense of impending doom, causing them to flee in a frenzy with no regard for their own survival. But even in such a state of panic, how does that explain the violent injuries? The Russian government reopened the case in 2019, over 60 years after the incident, but their new findings offered little comfort. They doubled down on the idea that an avalanche, or perhaps a combination of weather events, was responsible for the tragedy. Still, many remain unconvinced. There's something unsettling about the government's reluctance to release certain details, information that could possibly shed light on this chilling mystery. Were they hiding something? Could this have been a military cover-up, as some suggest? Cold War tensions were high in 1959, and it wasn't uncommon for Soviet authorities to conduct covert military tests in remote areas. Some believe the hikers may have unwittingly walked into one of these tests, perhaps involving parachute mines or even chemical weapons, and paid the ultimate price. However, no conclusive evidence of such an event has ever surfaced. The truth, if it exists, remains buried under layers of secrecy deep in the snow. As we dig deeper into the Dyatlov Pass incident, we must also consider the psychological and human aspect of the tragedy. Imagine the terror those 9 hikers must have felt that night, an intense fear so profound that they tore through the walls of their tent and ran into the darkness, half naked, in temperatures cold enough to freeze skin in minutes. What would drive people to make such a desperate decision? Were they being chased? Were they trying to escape from something that we can't even comprehend? Survival instincts usually kick in during moments of crisis. You would expect seasoned hikers to gather their wits, find shelter, and try to protect themselves from the elements. But instead, they scattered. Could they have turned on each other in a frenzy? Was there something or someone out there in the dark, driving them into irrational panic? It's easy to theorize, but we may never fully understand what truly happened in those final, terrifying moments. Today, the Dyatlov Pass stands as a symbol of unanswered questions, a place where truth and myth collide. Over the years, Countless expeditions have returned to the area, some in search of evidence, others drawn purely by curiosity. The memorial erected in the hikers' honor serves as a reminder of the cost of exploration and the dangers of the unknown. And while some believe the case has been solved, the legend of the Dyatlov Pass continues to stir imaginations around the world. Maybe, just maybe, this is a mystery that was never meant to be solved. A chilling reminder that even in our modern world, there are places where logic and reason fail, and the natural world holds secrets too dark and too powerful to ever be fully understood. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.